Hi, I'm sorry you caught me. I'm Mike Morales. You are watching, listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. I'll try to do this with a straight face, folks, because it's been a long day.
Oh, hi
Oh,
there.
hi there. Oh,
I
hi.
didn't see you there,
I'm just pulling
audience.
my pants up. Uh, uh, Rick and I are kind of beside ourselves because this is a brand new brand that has just come on the market. You can see them on Instagram if you're an Instagram fiend like we are. These guys are brand new on the market called Juan de Leon. And it's
One
named
day
after a
on.
real guy. Juan de Leon is a real dude. Uh, now,
The next most interesting man in the
the
world.
next most interesting man in the world. You know what? I think
He's going to be stuck with that now.
you know what? We want you to pay Rick 1 penny for every time you use that on your POS, okay? Because he deserves a little commission. Because we have no budget. So anyway, look at we nominated it for packaging as well. But look, every one of these varietals so far, the Rosa Blanco had a pink agave. The Blanco I think had a blue agave, right? Yeah, and this one has a red one. Check that out. Um, Beautiful artwork. I don't know if maybe Juan is an artist. I'm not sure who is responsible for the logo. De Leon, of course, means of the lion. There's also an old kind of, it almost looks Aztec version of the logo. That could be a real one. I'm not sure. I don't think that there were many lions in Mexico as there were jaguars. And well, the jaguar was a primary animal there, but lions and tigers, no. But that's okay. That's all right. Anyway, this we're gonna pop this baby open. We just broke the seal off of it off camera. We're gonna pour it in our glassware. Uh, oh, hello. We've gotten to the habit of doing that. I've watched a lot of the other guys do this, and I this one in particular because we'll tell you why in a second. I have to.
Oh, hello there.
I have to break out a Riedel because I'm running short on glassware, and
I've
Rick has
got the
got his
Stossel hurried up.
Stossel. Rick, this is not your conventional color of Reposado.
It is not.
So how come? I mean, in the bottle, it looks like it's got. I don't know if you can see it better on Rick's camera than you can on mine, but it's got like these brassy highlights.
Right. Usually, we're used to golden and straw, but
Pale blonde, something weird like that.
this one probably does have some hints of red in it.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising because they are exclusively using ex-Cabernet Sauvignon French white oak barrels from Napa Valley.
Really? I've got to get that information. Again, I'm using a Riedel. You haven't seen me use a Riedel in a long time, but that's okay because it is still a valid tool. And I don't use these as much as we used to, although I have a box of Riedels ready Riedels that I use, and then I have another 24 down here oh, there they are. They're over there. So I've got plenty of Riedels, folks, from the old days. And this one was a gift. Actually, I think I lifted it from a show about 10 years ago. So we know that it's aged exclusively in those barrels. So there are no whiskey, no bourbon touching this.
According to their website, it's exclusively the French cab barrels from Napa. So those green notes, we saw them, definitely softened in the Rosa.
Yes.
And now really more rounded off in the Repo.
but it's still prominent.
Right.
It's still a prominent factor in the nose so far.
Now they have used they did hand charring on these barrels.
Okay, so they are hand charred, good. Whereas the Rosa was not, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
According to their website.
Okay. We're just going to go with what they're telling us. I'm hoping it's transparent. Most of the time it is. Sometimes you gotta, you gotta read between the tequila marketing happy talk. Okay. Which is another phrase that Rick is.
You owe me a penny.
We owe you a penny. That's true. When I ride down to San Diego, I should bring all that stuff with me. So I have stuff. Well, you have a whole set of tequila that we're saving until we can be together and do it at his place. There's really, the notes I'm getting are very wine forward. Are you getting like
right.
wine forward? And there's alcohol in here too that I'm getting, like a much more alcohol than I was getting in the Rosa. And again, it could be my glass. Could be my glass.
And I'm not as experienced pulling out the wine notes. Although when I do have wine, I do enjoy a cab or a Cab Merlot mix or something like that. But
my dad was the wine hound. The only thing I could drink in California was California White Zin. And that's not, some people that's the guy almost has almost as bad a reputation as Merlot. Before Sideways, the movie. So anyway. Now I'm getting some sweet notes. Just a hint of French on this side. Ever so faintly.
Yeah, for me, the wine notes are throwing me off for pulling out the barrel stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we said this is 6 months in wood.
So 6 months in that wood. That, again, they're following the Reposado regulations. 6 months to 8 months is a repo. I was under the impression at one point that it had to touch a whiskey barrel first, but that's not the case. Apparently, if it's a barrel, it's a barrel. And if you age it in a wine barrel for 6 months to 12 months, it's whatever it's aged in that barrel. It's an añejo or it's a reposado. I still think it's lovely. I got to say, there's more complexity, again, than we got in the Blanco.
Yeah.
For me. The Rosa sold it for me. This one sold it for me, too. There's that extra layer of complexity that the Blanco was very one-sided, single facet.
Right. Yeah. Definitely more complex with the extra time in wood here. Yeah, there are wood notes there. It's just throwing me off because of the Cabernet Sauvignon. I really don't know what to expect on the palate.
Well, the legs and tears are consistent all the way through. Beautiful legs and tears. It looks like it's going to have some of that. So far, every varietal we've had, the first two have had some great structure, great mouthfeel. Right. I'm not expecting anything less on this one. So let's dive in and see what we get. And oh wow! Oh, that is much sweeter than I thought it would be.
I think it could be because of the charring on the barrel.
The French oak is finally coming through.
Mm.
I was telling Rick off camera, maybe I told him on camera, that the Blanco Rosa category is now a category for us here at Tequila Aficionado. And that the barrels themselves that are being used for instance, Cali Rosa, are French oak barrels. And so their añejo had distinct French oak notes that the first and only time I've ever had them was at Casa Noble, because they're exclusively French oak. And then, anything coming out of Puerto de Hierro or Cava de Oro, where they're spending money on French oak barrels, and they're not cheap, folks. Even the secondary market's not a cheap thing to get. And they had distinctive notes of wood that mingled with the dryness of the grapes and of the wine. So I'm getting the wood notes that I wasn't getting. We didn't get on the Rosa.
Right.
This is, and
Yeah.
it's just adding an extra layer.
It's getting better and better.
Yeah. Now I get. This is why Rick and and I've talked to this about to the other TJs. I love to see the natural progression. When brands only send us one, let's say they send us just the Rosa. We sometimes at the end of the review we go, God, I wonder what the Blanco tastes like. How can we reverse engineer this, right? Or we do that with an añejo. Sometimes they can only send us a repo or an añejo, and that's cool. That's all right, because we'll drink anything. But but then when you get the whole line, and then you understand where they were headed and where they were going. I don't know if I've talked to this with you, but with several of the other TJs, that some brands now are coming up with expressions that actually service a separate section of the market. So it's not a natural progression that what we're used to. It's like a whole other brand coming from the same brand to service another segment of their fan base.
Each expression is a completely different statement.
Yeah.
That addresses a different market segment. Yeah.
When you and I first started doing our tastings, remember when the Reposados were just it was just an afterthought, and then there was like 2 or 3 years where it became a statement where they were making and now it's like it's shifted again. It's evolved one more time where the Reposado category now is servicing a separate category of the consumer. I think I didn't do Mi Campo with you. I think I actually tasted that with Alex. Mi Campo is one of those that comes out of La Cofradia, and their Reposado is aged in wine barrels. So they only make a Blanco and a Repo, and they make it in a certain way so that an Añejo isn't even necessary.
Yeah, I enjoyed that Mi Campo. I keep it here on the shelf.
Yeah, well then you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and yeah, it services, the Blanco services one segment of they were initially, when they came out, they said they were launching it to attract the millennial consumer. But it's almost like there's two, when they did that, they separated the millennial consumer into the wine people and the tequila people, because millennials are heavy into wine. At least that was the last study that I saw. So, but now it's a whole different ball game. It's like every expression is a different. It services a different segment of the same consumer. Weird. I mean, it's kind of neat to see that, but it's not like what we're used to when we grew up doing this, and we want to see a natural progression. It's not like that anymore.
All right, everybody. As Mike is waxing on and on here, I am having a lovely time experiencing this finish because it is changing over time for me. It's a long finish for me, and over time I'm getting a little bit more brininess and tanginess on the front of my palate from the wine.
On the intake.
No, on the finish.
On the finish. Okay.
Afterwards, what's lingering on the palate is changing for me. And just the complexity of those wine notes mixed with our traditional French oak repo notes, and then the way just the way that finish is changing on the palate for me is great. A really interesting experience.
Really well done. It really dovetails nicely. Whoever's doing their barrel management. Wow, and what a nice the dry finish. That white wine, that dry finish is good. I like reminiscent of the bourbon, the dryness of a bourbon barrel.
Yeah.
But it is sweeter on the intake, and now I understand why they left the Blanco the way they did, because I think it's a great tool for the rest of the line.
It's
See?
the canvas on which they're painting the rest of their profile.
Oh, look at you! Look at how artistic you are. Who's waxing who now? Wax on, wax off. Jeez, I got every one of these is a Brand of Promise nominee, but again, a different style of reposado. I can't lump it into everything else that we've had so far this year that has been aged in a bourbon or whiskey barrel or multiple barrels. This one is a separate category. It's lovely.
I can't wait to share this with friends and see how they react to it.
Well, you got excuse me, you have a lot of wine friends too, don't you? That
Not so much. We're a tequila crowd.
They're all tequila people. All right.
Tequila and mezcal.
This is really well done. I am impressed as hell. I didn't know what to expect.
That structure is still really wonderful on this Reposado after 6 months.
Well, that Blanco has some great structure. It had really good mouthfeel, and I think that's what's helping. As it ages in the barrel, it really. Wow, what's to say? This is outstanding. Yeah. It's outstanding stuff. Brand of Promise nominee, and okay, price point. What do we know?
Their suggested price on their website is $64.99, but I think the only place it's available right now is woodencork.com, which is based here in San Diego, and they have it for $59.99.
Oh, you know what? I think that's a good price for this tequila. It is.
A lot of times when we're doing this, Mike, we think, okay, it's a great sipper, but what else could you do with it? And off the top of my head, I don't know how I would mix this, but I bet your real professional mixologists could come up with something really interesting based on this.
Well, that it's aged. If you know what it's aged in, and that it's wine, not wine forward, grape forward, maybe. So that lends itself to a lot more creativity. Yeah. I don't know.
This tanginess, this brininess that's coming out for me towards the end is really interesting, and I think that's an aspect that could be played upon in cocktails.
Do you think that it'd be something like you could whatever you do with I want to say gin, but like in a martini or something, or
it would almost be something like that, I think. Yeah, where it would really kind of blow up a cocktail, and I mean blow up in terms of completely changing your concept of it.
Yes.
Whereas with something like a gin cocktail, you're thinking, oh, it's probably going to be clear or something like that. But then with the warmth of the wood, it will completely change it, but in a really interesting way.
Yeah, there's not a heavy herbaceousness like there would be in a gin. Earlier today, Eric and I had a mezcal that was at a higher ABV. That might be a good gin a substitute. And
yeah, I think you could craft something really distinctive using this.
Yeah, it might require its own signature cocktail.
Right.
That may be where it needs to lead, because it's hard to pinpoint, and it's hard to you can't pigeonhole this one.
So we're issuing a challenge. Now we're issuing a challenge. Let us know what you come up with.
That's it. Let us know what you come up with. Make a cocktail, put it on Instagram, follow us, tag us on it, and you'll win kudos. I don't know. We'll introduce you to Juan de Leon. He might let you ride a skateboard. I don't know. But that's our take on Juan de Leon Reposado. This is beautiful. I had no idea what to expect. But I'm really severely impressed. This is every one of these comes up better and better and better. So now I'm anxious. We got two more expressions to get to, an añejo and an extra añejo.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Where does it go from here?
I don't know where it goes.
We don't know.
So far, it hasn't let us down. That's cool.
Join us on the journey.
Yes, that's our take on Juan de Leon Reposado. I'm Mike Morales here in Southern California. That guy out there is
Rick Levy, also in Southern California.
You have been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media, all of our channels and networks. Please subscribe to us if you're watching us on YouTube. Right down there, you hit the notification bell, hit the subscription button. Give us a like if you like the video. That helps on the algorithm. And whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.